So my name's Joe Bacon, and the idea is to interview the 6 degrees of Joe Bacon and his various forms of bands, right?
Right.
Joe Bacon. Joe, again with the name. So Pacala, Placer, Pacala, Placer. Right?
All the different
How do you pronounce it?
Placer.
Placer.
Yeah.
Placer. It sounds French.
You know, it's Spanish, but yeah.
Placer.
Ferdinand Joseph Placer.
And then we found out like Joseph, so it's his middle name. So later on, Ferdinand, we were like, oh, dang, I wish we could have called you Ferdinand Joe. It reminds me of banjo. Ferdinand Joe. We had a banjo for a minute. Nina actually gave me a banjo.
She didn't want to play it?
It wasn't a thing. I don't know.
Was
And
it a 4 or 5 string?
I have no idea. But I don't even know, like, through all the moves, I don't even know. Sorry, Nina. But the reality is that just before it became a thing, it wasn't a thing. And I was like, God, if I had just held on to it, all of a sudden, like, David Brothers, Mumford and Sons, and all those banjo-y bands that were super cool came out right after I was like kind of, I lost the banjo. I lost it. And the train of thought in the band. Where did you play in the band?
Well, originally, I was supposed to play the bass. And that's what he asked me to play. And then later on, Jason found out I played the violin. And he was like, oh, play that. And it's like I have never played anything but classical music on the violin. And okay. But I played by ear, so actually, whatever I heard, I like playing the violin. That was fun. But hearing that type of music, it was very different. How do I accompany this? You know?
When you hear me playing my song and singing the melody, you're able to, from your symphony experience, figure out what a second and a third part is based on it.
Right. Playing all those instruments, playing even just with the violin, starting out with it, it's all I could think of is like playing simple melodies. You had to kind of tell me, here, just play this. We just want a string presence.
So sometimes I would come up with a part.
Yeah.
Say, hey, do this. Like Sinful Saint, you loved the cello part on that. I remember.
Oh yeah.
You were like, whoa, I wouldn't have thought of that.
That's what I've learned over the years. It's playing a different, almost a counter melody.
Yeah, I mean, Led Zeppelin had orchestral things in their music in the 70s. But it's like, it was still experimental to have rock music in all the different genres. We were playing around with folk meets goth meets punk almost with the orchestral.
Classical music on the violin. Different. How do I accompany this? In any orchestra?
From your symphony experience, classic rock bands that use string instruments.
There's an orchestral hit.
Orchestral thing. It was still experimental with the orchestral effect.
The University Concert Band.
Jazz band, orchestra in the university concert band. So that's like orchestral symphony.
4 or 5 string quartet. And they also had Muzak.
Which is what we were trying to avoid making. When you were with Jason at college, How did you guys meet?
Well, he was in the dorms, and he said, "Hey, why don't you join the university concert band?" I was like, "Okay." Yes, we became roommates first. Then I joined the band. Just because we were friends first. I joined. Technically, we would beat it for Ashley yet. I joined at the end of Green Olive Tree.
Yeah.
So.
The transition.
Yeah, the transition. So I was in the end. It's like we were still Green Olive Tree.
I'm just reminding myself that this could be my fate. I'm no better than anyone else, just a sinful thing.
Did play as part of a small 4 or 5 string quartet in Cal Poly later on because I wanted to borrow the cello. First they let me just borrow the cello, and they didn't charge me. They said, "Oh, you can borrow the cello." Oh, maybe they charged me something really small. And then I
So
bought my
why
own.
did you need the cello?
Is you asked me? I think.
Yeah. So you played the violin. I was like, hey, can
Yeah.
you play the cello?
Yeah.
Into like, how did it come about that you played with Beauty for Ashes and or Green Olive Tree?
Jason asked me to join. You
Yeah.
know, that's all he does. Like, okay, hey, we need a bass player.
sure.
And then it's like the first song you tried to get me to play was Never Alone, the Never Alone solo. And you're trying to show me all the fancy stuff on the bass, and it's like, okay, I've never played a bass before. The bass
Did
is-
you have a bass?
No, I used your green
We were
bass.
using the same Green Olive Tree bass.
Yeah, the
Okay,
green olive,
gotcha.
yeah, green olive tree, the famous painted over green bass, whatever.
Well, eventually what happened was my first wife, Erin Bacon, picked up the bass and she was happy playing bass. And then that freed you up to
Yeah.
be able to play all your other instruments. And we haven't actually walked through all of the different things. And then how is it that you can play all these different instruments and what all did you play?
Back then, Lawrence Welk was very, very big. The big band, Tiny Bubbles, and all that stuff. My parents wanted me to learn the piano and the accordion at the same time. Since the accordion had piano keys, all I had to learn is how to squeeze and play chords on the left side.
So you were able to get lessons on the piano
And the accordion.
and
The accordion.
My mom, every time she heard something fun, is like, I want my kids to do that. So she heard the Suzuki method, Suzuki Institute of playing violin, and is like, okay, you're doing that now. I was like, and I'm a kid, I just do what my parents tell me.
hold the phone.
Yeah.
Suzuki Institute. Suzuki
Music.
is a motorcycle. And I always thought it was funny because Yamaha is an instrument and
So that's the
a
funny part.
vehicle as well.
So the Suzuki, the Suzuki Musical Institute, yes, they make. It's the same company, but if you look on a motorcycle, you'll see the Suzuki symbol. It's 3 pitchforks
Oh.
are surrounded in a triangle.
Yeah, because Yamaha is a tuning fork. Right?
Yeah, Yamaha.
Yamaha.
Suzuki.
Suzuki.
Are you getting me all confused now? I was one of those easygoing guys that I didn't really care. And they look at me like, this is a really, really small kid. He's not going to play the tuba. He doesn't have the lung capacity to play the tuba.
The clarinet, though.
The clarinet, that's like, okay. Okay.
How come we never played the saxophone or the trumpet? The violin and the cello are similar.
Similar, right.
Right? So that makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
The clarinet and the
But-
flute.
I mean, really, back then it was like, are we a ska band? No.
Yeah, the clarinet and the saxophone and the flute, they're all similar. I think the hardest one out of all of them is the clarinet.
The other controversial question is, how come you didn't make a copy of the original demo that's just sitting here in your house?
I did. I didn't think it sounded very good. I will play it for you on the computer.
So you need better equipment?
I mean, I have the generic York's 1989 player that you would get, and I guess technically it wouldn't. Straight into a computer, it should sound okay. I will play it for you, and it's like I'm almost kind of embarrassed how horrible some of that stuff sounds.
Well, we'll figure that out. Do you remember when I punched you in the face?
You didn't punch me in the face.
I did. I totally punched you in the face.
Accidentally?